We don't want wretched people smelling up the gate. The chief security officer's boot slammed into Mariam Issa's ribs, sending her sprawling into the red mud outside the golden gates of the Jacobs mansion. Mariam gasped, clutching her side. The pain was sharp, but the shame was worse. She had only come to ask for a cleaning job. Her mother was sick in the hospital, and they had not eaten in 2 days. Now, she was covered in dirt, her only good dress ruined. "Please, sir." Mariam choked out, tears mixing with the rain on her face. "I am hardworking. I just need to wash clothes. Anything." "I said leave." The CSO raised his baton again. "Stop." The voice came from the small security booth. It wasn't loud, but it carried a strange weight. A man stepped out. He was wearing an oversized, faded security uniform that hung loosely on his broad shoulders. His boots were old and worn. This was Sonny Jacobs. To the world, Sonny Jacobs was the oil tycoon who owned half of Lagos Island. But today, to find a woman who didn't just want his checkbook, he was posing as Sunday, the lowest-ranking gateman at his own estate. The CSO sneered at him. "Sunday, get back in your hole." Who gave a gateman permission to speak? Sonny ignored the insult. He walked through the rain and knelt beside Mariam. He saw her trembling hands. He saw the hollowness in her cheeks. But mostly, he saw the fire in her eyes. Even on the floor, she held her head up. "Are you okay, sister?" Sonny asked gently, offering a rough hand. Mariam looked at him. She saw a man who looked as poor as she was, a fellow sufferer. "Thank you, brother," she whispered, taking his hand. As she stood, a sleek black Rolls-Royce pulled up to the gate. The back window rolled down, and a woman with expensive Brazilian hair and heavy makeup, Lady Sandra, spat out her chewing gum. It landed right on Mariam's foot. "Why is this trash blocking my entrance?" Lady Sandra yelled. "Chief, clear this refuse." The CSO panicked. He shoved Mariam hard, knocking her into Sonny. "Move, Madam is angry." Sonny caught her. His jaw clenched. He could have snapped his fingers and fired the CSO, evicted Lady Sandra, and bought the street. But he had to maintain his cover. He had to see what Mariam would do. "My story family, welcome back. Look at this injustice. The owner of the mansion is being treated like a dog at his own gate. If you believe that God fights for the humble, hit that subscribe button right now. Tell me in the comments where are you watching from. And answer me this. If you were Mariam, would you defend the gateman or run away to save yourself? Let's see who has a good heart in the comments. Mariam didn't run. She saw the CSO raise his baton to hit Sonny for interfering. Without thinking, Mariam stepped in front of the billionaire in disguise. She shielded him with her small body. "Don't hit him," she screamed, her voice cracking. "He is only trying to help. Is it a crime to be kind because we are poor?" The silence was deafening. The CSO froze. Lady Sandra gasped in the car. Sonny Jacobs stared at the back of Mariam's head. For years, women had shielded him from paparazzi, but no one had ever shielded him from a blow. No one had ever protected him without knowing his worth. The CSO, furious at being challenged by a beggar, signaled the other guards. "Throw both of them out. Beat them if you have to." Sonny's eyes turned dark. The game was getting dangerous. He reached into his pocket, his hand brushing against the panic button that would summon his private army. But before he could press it, Mariam grabbed his hand. "Run, brother," she cried, pulling him. "They will kill us." Sonny is being dragged away from his own mansion by a girl trying to save him. Does he reveal his identity now? Or does he follow her into the streets to see where this love leads? They ran until their chests burned. The grand gates of Banana Island were far behind them now, replaced by the chaotic, noisy streets of the mainland slum where Mariam lived. Sonny Jacobs, a man who ran a multi-billion-dollar empire, was bent over, panting. He wasn't out of breath from running. He was out of breath from the stench. The air here was thick with the smell of burning trash, exhaust fumes from Okada bikes, and open gutters. "Sorry, my brother," Mariam said softly. She used the hem of her torn wrapper to wipe the sweat and some mud off his forehead. Sonny froze. The touch was rough, but her intention was gentle. "Why did you do that?" Sonny asked, his voice low. "You lost your chance for a job to save a gateman you don't even know." Mariam smiled sadly. It was a smile that didn't reach her tired eyes. "A job can be found, but a life cannot be replaced. Those men, they would have broken your bones. I know what it feels like to be crushed by power." She reached into a small, knotted plastic bag at her waist. She pulled out a crumpled 50 naira note, likely the last money she had in the world. She waved down a street hawker. "Madame, bring 2 pure water and 1 gala." Sunny watched in disbelief. He was used to drinking imported sparkling water that cost 50,000 naira a bottle. Now, this girl was using her last coin to buy him sachet water. She bit the corner of the cold sachet and handed it to him. "Drink. It will cool your temper." Sunny took the plastic sachet. It was wet and humble. He raised it to his lips and drank. The water was cool. For the first time in years, he felt a genuine act of kindness. No one was watching. No cameras. No shareholders. Just a girl helping a gateman. My story, family. Are you seeing this? She has nothing, yet she is feeding him. There are people in big mansions who wouldn't give you a cup of water. And here is Mariam giving her last. Tell me in the comments, does money make you stingy? Or does poverty make you kind? Let's discuss. If you believe that givers never lack, smash that like button for Mariam. "Come," Mariam said, breaking the sausage roll, gala, in half, and giving him the bigger piece. "My house is not far. You cannot go back there today. You can rest on my mat." Sunny followed her. He walked past rusty zinc shacks and children playing with old tires. His heart was heavy. He owned the company that supplied electricity to the city, yet he was walking through a neighborhood that had been in darkness for weeks. They arrived at a dilapidated, "Face me, I face you" compound. The walls were green with moss, but as they stepped into the narrow corridor, a harsh voice boomed out. "Mariam, you useless girl, where is my money?" A large, pot-bellied man wearing only a towel around his waist blocked their path. It was landlord Pajid. He looked at Mariam with greedy, wicked eyes. "Landlord, please," Mariam begged, kneeling instantly. "I went to look for work today. I will pay. Just give me 2 more days. Mama is inside. She is sleeping." 2 days? Pajide laughed, his belly shaking. "I am tired of stories. If you don't have my rent, maybe you can pay with something else." He reached out a sweaty hand to grab Mariam's shoulder, ignoring Sunny completely. To the landlord, Sunny was just another broke man, invisible and powerless. Sunny's fists clenched at his sides. The veins in his neck stood out. The lion was waking up. He could buy this entire slum right now and evict this man into the Atlantic Ocean. The landlord is about to make a huge mistake touching the billionaire's chosen one. Will Sunny break character to protect her? Or will he find a clever way to save her? Pajide's sweaty fingers were inches from Mariam's shoulder when a hand clamped around his wrist. It was like a steel trap. The landlord gasped, looking down. It was Sunday, the gateman. "Remove your hand," Sunny said. His voice was not loud, but it rumbled with a dangerous authority that did not belong in a slum. "If you touch her, you will answer to God today." Pajid tried to pull his hand away, but he was stuck. He looked into Sunny's eyes and saw something terrifying. The eyes of a man who commanded armies, not a man who opened gates. You crazy gateman," Pajide stammered, wincing in pain. "Leave me." Sunny released him with a shove that sent the fat man stumbling back into the peeling green wall. "You want money?" Sunny asked, his eyes cold. "She will pay you, but you will treat her with respect. Now get out of my sight." Pajide rubbed his wrist, breathing heavily. The bully had met a bigger beast. Okay, he muttered, retreating down the dark hallway. "But if I don't see my money by tomorrow morning, I will throw her rags into the gutter. I swear it." He scurried away like a rat. Mariam was shaking, staring at Sunny with wide eyes. "Brother, why? He will come back with thugs. You have put yourself in danger for me." "I am not afraid of men like him," Sunny said, adjusting his faded cap. "Men who prey on the weak are cowards." Mariam led him into her room. It was tiny, just a single room with a curtain separating a small kerosene stove from a mattress on the floor. On the mattress lay an elderly woman, coughing weakly. "Mama," Mariam whispered, rushing to her side. "I am back." Sunny stood by the door, his heart breaking. The room was clean, spotless even, but the poverty was screaming. The heat was suffocating. This was where his savior lived. My story, family. Are you seeing this? Sonny Jacobs has 15 bedrooms in his mansion that are empty right now. Yet, Mariam is squeezing her life into this box, and she still shared her food with him. It is too emotional. Tell me in the comments. Have you ever dealt with a wicked landlord like Pajide? What would you do if you were Sunny? Buy the house or burn it down? Sunny knew he couldn't stay here. And he couldn't leave her here. He needed to get her out, but he couldn't reveal his identity yet. He needed to know if she would love Sunday the Gateman, not Sunny the billionaire. He pulled out his cheap burner phone, which he used for his disguise, and pretended to check the time. In reality, he was composing a mental text to his personal assistant, get the best doctors ready, and investigate a landlord named Pa Jeed. Mariam, Sunny said, stepping forward. You need money, and your mother needs a doctor. Mariam looked up, tears streaming. I know, but they chased us away from the mansion. Sunny knelt beside her. I know the head housekeeper at the Jacobs mansion. She owes me a favor. If I take you back there tonight, through the back gate, I can get you a job as a maid. Immediate start. Mariam's eyes widened. Really? After the CISO chased us? Trust me, Sunny said, a small, confident smile playing on his lips. I know my way around that house better than anyone. Mariam is about to enter the lion's den, not knowing the lion is holding her hand, but wait until she meets the wicked fiancé inside. The Jacobs mansion at night was not a house. It was a spaceship. Sunny led Mariam through the discreet servant's entrance. As she stepped inside, the blast of the central air conditioning hit her skin, drying the sweat of the slum instantly. The floor was not just tiled. It was Italian marble, white and cold, shining like a mirror. Wait here, Sunny whispered. He disappeared down a hallway. Minutes later, a plump woman with a kind face, Mrs. Ocon, the head housekeeper, rushed out, looking flustered. She held a crisp blue maid's uniform. She glanced nervously at the hallway where Sunny had gone, then at Mariam. You are the one? Mrs. Ocon asked, looking Mariam up and down. You are lucky. We don't just hire people off the street. But instructions are instructions. Mariam didn't question it. She hugged the uniform to her chest like it was a bag of gold. Thank you, Ma. God bless you, Ma. Go change. You start now. The master's fiancée, Lady Sandra, is in the main lounge. She spilled wine. Go and clean it. Mariam changed quickly. She felt strange in the clean, stiff fabric. She looked in the mirror, the dirt was gone. But the fear remained. She walked into the main lounge. The room was bigger than her entire village square. A chandelier, heavy with crystal diamonds, hung from the ceiling. Sitting on a velvet sofa was Lady Sandra. She was on a video call, laughing loudly. She wore a silk robe that looked like it was spun from moonlight. Yes, babe, the wedding planner said 500 million naira for the flowers alone. Can you imagine? So cheap. Sandra cackled into her phone. Mariam approached silently, kneeling to wipe the red wine stain on the white rug. She scrubbed gently, trying to be invisible. But a snake always senses movement. Lady Sandra paused her call. She looked down at Mariam with eyes cold enough to freeze a fish. Excuse me? Sandra's voice was sharp. Who are you? And why do you smell like poverty? Mariam froze. Good evening, Ma. I am the new cleaner. I am just removing the stain. Did I ask for your biography? Sandra hissed. You missed a spot. With a cruel smirk, Sandra tipped her glass, pouring the remaining red wine directly onto Mariam's hand and the freshly cleaned rug. My story, family. Are you seeing this wickedness? She just poured wine on her hand. This is the kind of woman who wants to marry our Sunny. Do you think money changes a man's character? Or does it just reveal who he really is? Hit the like button if you think the prince will protect Mariam. Or tell me in the comments if you think he should throw Lady Sandra out right now. Mariam gasped, pulling her hand back. The red wine looked like blood on her skin. Clean it up, Sandra commanded, returning to her phone. And don't look at me with those ugly eyes. From the shadows of the corridor, Sunny Jacobs was watching. He was no longer wearing his gateman's cap. He stood in the dark, his fists clenched so tight his knuckles cracked. He had seen enough of Lady Sandra's class at galas and parties. But now, seeing her cruelty toward a defenseless girl, the veil was lifted. He wasn't just looking at a fiancé. He was looking at a monster. He wanted to storm in there and end it. But he needed to see one more thing. He needed to see if Mariam would break. Mariam didn't break. She took a deep breath, dipped her rag in the bucket, and continued to scrub. She had a mother to save. She would swallow this fire to bring water to her family. Lady Sandra has drawn the battle line. But the master of the house is watching from the dark. What happens when Sunny steps into the light? Sunny, darling. Lady Sandra's voice changed instantly from a snake's hiss to a sugary melody. She stood up, smoothing her silk robe, and walked towards the man emerging from the shadows. Sonny Jacobs stepped into the light of the crystal chandelier. He was no longer wearing the faded security uniform. He was dressed in a charcoal gray smoking jacket and velvet slippers. A gold Rolex gleamed on his wrist, a watch worth more than the entire slum Mariam lived in. Mariam, still on her knees scrubbing the wine, froze. She knew that voice. She slowly lifted her head. When her eyes met his, her breath stopped in her throat. The face was the same. The broad nose, the strong jaw, the deep, intense eyes. It was Sunday, the gateman. But it couldn't be. This man stood like a god. His skin glowed with expensive moisturizers. He smelled of power and old money. He didn't look like a man who ate gala and drank sachet water. He looked like he owned the world. "What is happening here?" Sonny asked. His voice was cold, detached. He looked at Mariam, but his eyes gave away nothing. He looked at her as if she were a stranger. "Oh, baby, don't worry," Sandra cooed, clinging to his arm. "It's just this new clumsy maid. She ruined the Persian rug. I was just telling her that she will be paying for it from her salary for the next 10 years. Sonny looked at the red stain. Then he looked at Mariam's trembling hands. "Get up," he commanded. Mariam scrambled to her feet, clutching her bucket. Sorry, sir. I am sorry, master." She searched his eyes for a sign. "Sunday? Is it you?" But the billionaire's face was stone. "Leave the rug," Sonny said flatly. "And leave the room. The smell of bleach is disturbing me." Sandra pouted. "But Sonny, she needs to be punished. She can't just—" "I said, get out," Sonny said, his voice dropping an octave. He wasn't speaking to Mariam anymore. The tone was a warning to Sandra. "My story family, are you confused?" "I am confused. Imagine seeing your best friend, the one you just ate street food with, suddenly wearing a Rolex and commanding the room. Would you believe your eyes? Or would you think you are going crazy? Drop a comment. Does Mariam know? Or is the gap between the gateman and the billionaire too wide for her to believe?" Mariam didn't wait. She grabbed her bucket and ran out of the lounge, her heart pounding against her ribs like a trapped bird. She ran down the long marble corridor into the servants' quarters. She collapsed onto a wooden stool in the kitchen, gasping for air. "What is wrong with you?" asked Eno, the cook, who was chopping vegetables. "Did you see a ghost?" "The master," Mariam whispered, her eyes wide. "The master. He looks exactly like Sunday, the new gateman." Eno burst into loud laughter. She laughed until she choked. "You, this village girl. You are funny, oh. You think Sunday, that raggedy man at the gate, he looks like Sonny Jacobs? My sister, poverty is making you hallucinate. Go and wash your face." Mariam touched her chest. Eno was right. It was impossible. A gateman could not be a king. But as she calmed down, her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a text message from an unknown number. "Don't let them intimidate you. You are stronger than them." From Sunday? Who sent the text? Sunday the gateman? Or Sonny the billionaire? And how did he get her number? The morning sun beat down on the Jacobs estate, baking the dew off the manicured lawns. Mariam had been awake since 4 a.m., scrubbing floors and polishing silver. But as soon as she had a break, she didn't rest. She wrapped a small portion of her breakfast, 2 slices of yam and egg sauce in a napkin, and snuck out to the back gate. She found Sunday sitting on a crate, staring at the ground. "Brother Sunday," she whispered. He looked up. His eyes softened instantly. "Mariam, you should not be here. If Lady Sandra sees you talking to the gateman, she will skin us both." "I brought you food," she said, handing him the napkin. Then she paused, looking closely at his face. "Sunday, yesterday, I saw the master. I saw Mr. Sonny Jacobs." Sonny froze. He took the yam slowly. "And? He has your face," Mariam said, her voice trembling. "He has your eyes, the shape of his nose. Sunday, are you him?" Sonny's heart hammered against his ribs. He wanted to tell her. He wanted to say, "Yes, it is me. I am doing this to find a woman who wants my heart, not my wallet." But he couldn't. Not yet. The test wasn't over. He let out a bitter, hollow laugh. "Me? The billionaire?" He gestured to his torn uniform and dirty boots. "Look at me, Mariam. Do I look like a king? But the resemblance." "He is my cousin," Sonny lied. The words tasted like ash. "My father and his father were brothers. But his father found oil. And my father found palm wine. When my parents died, I came to beg him for help. He gave me this uniform and told me to watch his gate. To him, I am not family. I am a charity case." Mariam's eyes filled with tears. The confusion vanished, replaced by a burning anger. "He treats his own blood like this? Because of money? That is the world of the rich," Sunny said quietly. "They eat gold, and we eat dust. My story, family. Listen to that lie. He is my cousin." Oh, Sunny is playing a dangerous game. But look at how Mariam reacts. She doesn't love him because he might be rich. She loves him more because she thinks he is mistreated. Tell me in the comments, is a white lie okay if you are looking for true love? Or should he have told her the truth right now? Later that afternoon, the intercom in the maid's quarters buzzed. "Mariam, the master wants you in the private study." Now, Mariam's stomach dropped. She smoothed her uniform and walked up the grand staircase. She knocked on the heavy oak door. "Enter." Sonny Jacobs sat behind a massive mahogany desk. He was wearing reading glasses and signing documents. He looked powerful, distant, and cold, the exact opposite of the warm man she had shared yam with at the gate. "You are the new girl," Sonny said, not looking up. "Mrs. Ocon tells me you are hard-working." "I try my best, sir," Mariam said, clutching her hands to stop them from shaking. Sonny looked up. He took off his glasses. "I also heard you were loitering at the gate earlier. Stay away from the security staff. They are low class. You are a housemaid now. Act like it." He was testing her. He wanted to see if she would deny Sunday to please the master. Mariam took a deep breath. She remembered Sunday's sad eyes. She remembered the lie about them being cousins. A fire ignited in her chest that fear couldn't quench. "With all due respect, sir," Mariam said, her voice shaking but loud. "Mr. Sunday is not low class. He is a human being. And he has more kindness in his little finger than this whole house has in its bank account." The silence in the room was heavy. The air conditioner hummed loudly. Sonny stared at her. His expression was unreadable, but inside, his soul was dancing. "She defended me. She defended the nobody against the somebody." "You have a sharp tongue," Sonny said slowly, hiding a smile. "Be careful it doesn't cut your throat. You may go." Mariam just scolded the billionaire to his face. "She is fighting for the gateman." But Lady Sandra is watching the cameras, and she sees the way Sonny looks at the maid. Lady Sandra paced around her master bedroom like a caged tigress. She had been watching the security feed on her iPad. She saw the way Sonny looked at that maid in the study. It wasn't the look of a master disciplining a servant. It was the look of a man fascinated. "Not on my watch," Sandra whispered, her acrylic nails tapping against the screen. "I did not spend 3 years chasing this billionaire just to lose him to a gutter rat." She walked over to her vanity table, which was covered in velvet boxes. She opened one. Inside sat a diamond tennis bracelet worth 15 million naira. It glittered coldly in the light. She smiled, a wicked, ugly smile. "Mariam!" she screamed. "Get up here, now!" Down in the kitchen, Mariam flinched. She wiped her hands on her apron and ran up the stairs. When she entered the bedroom, the air smelled of heavy perfume and malice. "Yes, ma," Mariam curtsied. "I am going to the governor's ball tonight with Sonny," Sandra said, not looking at her. "I need you to clean my bathroom. I want the tiles to sparkle. If I see one spot, you are fired. Do you hear me?" "Yes, ma." Mariam went into the bathroom. She scrubbed the marble until her knees ached. She was careful. She was thorough. She hummed a gospel song to keep her spirit up. "My God is able. He is able." While Mariam was distracted by the noise of the running water, Sandra moved silently. She picked up the diamond bracelet. She tiptoed to the chair where Mariam had left her cleaning bucket and rags. With a quick flick of her wrist, she dropped the bracelet deep into the pocket of Mariam's spare apron that was hanging on the door handle. Then, Sandra waited. "My story, family, do you smell that? That is the smell of wickedness. The missing jewelry trick. It is the oldest trick in the book, but it destroys lives every day. Tell me in the comments, why do people hate to see the poor rising? Why does Sandra feel threatened by a maid? Is it insecurity or just pure evil?" 10 minutes later, Mariam came out, sweating but satisfied. "I am done, Ma." "Good. You can go," Sandra said, pretending to apply lipstick. Mariam turned to leave. She grabbed her spare apron. "Wait," Sandra suddenly shrieked. She began throwing boxes off her table. "Where is it? Where is my bracelet?" Mariam froze. "Ma, my diamond bracelet. It was right here." Sandra turned on Mariam. her eyes bulging with fake tears. You are the only one who has been in this room. You stole it. God forbid, Ma, Mariam cried, raising her hands. I did not touch anything. I was in the bathroom. We will see about that. Sandra pressed the intercom button. Security, come to the master bedroom. We have a thief. Within seconds, heavy boots thundered up the stairs. The CSO burst in, and behind him, looking alarmed, was Sonny Jacobs, dressed as the master. What is the noise? Sonny demanded, his voice booming. Sonny! Sandra wailed, throwing herself at him. This ungrateful rat stole the diamond bracelet you gave me for my birthday. I caught her trying to sneak out. Sonny looked at Mariam. Mariam was shaking, tears streaming down her face. She looked at Sonny, the man who looked like her friend Sunday, pleading with her eyes. Please, believe me. I did not take it, sir, she sobbed. I swear on my mother's life. Search her! Sandra screamed at the guard. The CSO grabbed Mariam's apron, the one hanging by the door. He plunged his hand into the pocket and pulled out the glittering diamond bracelet. Aha! The CSO shouted triumphantly. Here it is, boss. The room went deadly silent. Mariam felt the world spin. She fell to her knees. I don't know how it got there. Someone must have put it there. Sir, please. Sonny stared at the bracelet, then at Mariam. His jaw was clenched so hard a muscle twitched in his cheek. He knew Mariam. He knew the girl who shared her last gala. She was not a thief, but the evidence was right there. Sonny is trapped. The evidence is overwhelming. If he defends a thief now, he blows his cover and looks foolish. But if he lets them arrest her, she goes to prison. Call the police! Lady Sandra screeched, pointing a manicured finger at Mariam. I want this rat in Kirikiri prison tonight. She must rot for stealing from me. The chief security officer, CSO, grinned. He had been waiting for a reason to hurt the girl who defied him at the gate. He yanked Mariam's arms behind her back, twisting them painfully. Move! The CSO barked. You are going to the cell. Master, please, Mariam cried, falling to her knees again, dragging the CSO down with her. She looked directly at Sonny. I'm not a thief. My mother is dying. I need money, but I would never steal. Please, sir, check your cameras. Check my heart. Sonny stood like a statue. Inside, he was raging. He wanted to slap the CSO. He wanted to throw Sandra out of the window. But he had to play the game to win the war. Stop, Sonny said. His voice was low, but it cut through the noise like a machete. The CSO froze. Sandra stopped screaming. I do not want police sirens wailing in my compound tonight, Sonny said, smoothing his jacket. It will attract the press. I don't want my name on the blogs tomorrow morning. But Sonny, Sandra protested, stomping her foot. She is a criminal. I am the judge in this house, Sandra, Sonny snapped, his eyes flashing fire. Not you, and not the police. He turned to the CSO. Lock her in the downstairs storeroom. No food, no water. I will decide her fate in the morning. Sandra smiled, satisfied. A night in the storeroom with the rats was good punishment. Fine, but tomorrow she goes to jail. The CSO dragged a weeping Mariam away. As she was pulled out, she looked back at Sonny. Her eyes were not filled with hate, but with a crushing disappointment. She thought he was different. My story, family. They are trying to shame her. Can you feel the pain? She looked at him for help, and he locked her up. But we know the lion has a plan. If you want to see the wicked exposed, make sure you are subscribed. You don't want to miss the justice coming in the next chapter. Hit the like button if you believe God will vindicate Mariam before the sun rises. 2 hours later, the mansion was silent. The heavy storeroom door was locked tight. Inside, it was pitch black, smelling of dust and old cleaning supplies. Mariam sat on a sack of rice, her head buried in her knees. She was praying. God of the orphan, show up for me. Do not let me be disgraced. Tap, tap, tap. A small sound came from the high ventilation window. Mariam? She jumped up. She knew that whisper. Sunday? She gasped, dragging a crate over to climb up to the window. Through the iron bars, she saw the face of the gateman. He was wearing his old cap, backlit by the moon. Sunday, they said I stole, she sobbed, holding onto the bars. The master locked me here. He is wicked, Sunday. He is just like them. Sonny's heart broke. He reached through the bars and touched her tear-stained cheek. I know you didn't steal, Mariam, he whispered. And the master. Maybe he is not as wicked as you think. Maybe he just needs time to find the truth. There is no truth for poor people, Mariam cried. Only prison. Listen to me, Sonny said, his voice fierce and urgent. Wipe your tears. The God you serve is not asleep. Do not eat anything they give you tomorrow. Do not sign any paper. I promise you, Mariam. By the time the sun rises, the innocent will be lifted up. He pressed a small, warm-wrapped item into her hand through the bars. It was a meat pie. Eat. Gain strength. The battle is tomorrow. Sonny is feeding her through the bars of his own house. But Sandra has one more trick up her sleeve to ensure Mariam never speaks again. The grandfather clock in the hallway struck 2 a.m. The heavy silence of the mansion was suffocating. Inside the storeroom, Mariam had finished the meat pie Sunday gave her. She sat in the dark, clutching her knees, the taste of the food lingering like a promise. He believes me, she thought. That is enough. Suddenly, the heavy bolt of the door slid back with a loud clank. Mariam scrambled back against the sacks of rice. Was it the police? Had the master changed his mind to throw her out in the middle of the night? The door creaked open. A silhouette stood there, framed by the hallway light. It wasn't the master. It was Lady Sandra. She wasn't wearing her usual smile. Her face was hard, ugly, and twisted. She held a flashlight in one hand and a thick brown envelope in the other. You are still awake. Rat, Sandra sneered, stepping inside and kicking the door shut behind her. Madam, Mariam whispered, trembling. Please, tell the master the truth. You know I didn't take it. Sandra laughed. It was a dry, wicked sound. Of course I know you didn't take it. I put it there. Mariam gasped. Why? What did I do to you? You exist, Sandra hissed, stepping closer. And the way Sonny looks at you. It disgusts me. He is a king. You are a cockroach. I am just helping him take out the trash. She threw the brown envelope at Mariam's feet. It landed with a heavy thud. Inside that envelope is 500,000 naira, Sandra said, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. It is more money than your wretched family will see in 10 lifetimes. Mariam looked at the envelope. It was true. That money could pay for her mother's surgery. It could change everything. Here's the deal, Sandra continued, pulling a piece of paper and a pen from her robe. Sign this confession. Say you stole the bracelet because of hunger. Take the money, walk out the back gate, and never return to Lagos. If you do this, you are rich. If you refuse, you go to Kirikiri prison for 15 years. Choose. My story family, this is the devil's test. 500,000 naira in cash. Her mother is sick. She is hungry. If you were Mariam, be honest. Would you take the money and run? Or would you stay and fight for your name? Drop a comment. I would take it, or I would fight. Let's see who is real in the comments section. Mariam looked at the money. She looked at the paper. Her hand shook as she reached out. Sandra smirked, victory in her eyes. But then, Mariam remembered Sunday's words through the bars. The God you serve is not asleep. She pulled her hand back as if the money were fire. Keep your money, Ma, Mariam said, her voice shaking but firm. My mother taught me that a good name is better than silver and gold. I will not lie against myself. If I go to prison, I go with a clean conscience, but I will not sign. Sandra's face turned purple with rage. She raised her hand and slapped Mariam hard across the face. Pah! You fool, Sandra screamed. Then you will rot. Tomorrow I will make sure they bury you under the jail. She stormed out, slamming the door and locking it. Mariam held her stinging cheek, tears flowing hot and fast. She was alone again, or so she thought. High up in the master bedroom, Sonny Jacobs sat in front of a bank of monitors. He was wearing headphones. He had heard every word. He had seen the slap. He slowly took off the headphones. His eyes were no longer just angry. They were cold, calculated, and terrifying. The lion had seen the snake bite. Sandra, Sonny whispered to the empty room. You have just signed your own eviction notice. The evidence is secured. The trap is set. But Sandra thinks she has won. The morning brings the trial of the century. The morning sun did not bring peace. It brought the police. 2 officers from the state CID stood in the grand foyer, their boots muddying the pristine white marble. The entire household staff, maids, cooks, and guards was gathered in a line, heads bowed in fear. Lady Sandra stood at the center of it all, dressed in a sharp red power suit, looking like the prosecutor, judge, and executioner. "Officer, that is her!" Sandra shouted, pointing at Mariam. Mariam was brought out of the storeroom. She looked weak. Her uniform was wrinkled, her hair messy, and her eyes swollen from crying. But she walked with her head high. She did not beg. She did not kneel. "Young woman," the police sergeant barked, holding up a pair of handcuffs. "You are under arrest for grand larceny. Cooperate, or we will use force." "I am innocent," Mariam said, her voice raspy. "God is my witness. God is not in the police report." The sergeant sneered, grabbing her wrist. The cold metal of the handcuffs clicked shut. Click. The sound echoed through the silent hall. The other maids began to weep softly. "Take her away," Sandra commanded, checking her watch. "I have a spa appointment at 11. "Wait." The command came from the top of the grand staircase. Sonny Jacobs descended slowly. He was dressed in black shirt, black trousers. He looked like a mourning king, or perhaps an executioner. "Sonny, darling," Sandra sighed, impatient. "Don't stress yourself. The police are handling the trash." Sonny ignored her. He walked straight to the police officer. "Remove those handcuffs." The officer hesitated. "But sir, the evidence." "I said, remove them," Sonny repeated, his voice dangerously calm. The officer unlocked the cuffs. Mariam rubbed her wrists, looking at Sonny with confusion. Was he saving her? Or was he planning something worse? Sonny turned to the massive 85-inch television screen mounted on the wall. He picked up the remote. "Sandra," Sonny said, "you said you caught her trying to sneak out with the bracelet, correct?" "Yes, I told you," Sandra insisted, looking nervous. "And you said she confessed?" "Yes, she begged for mercy." Sonny smiled. It was a terrifying smile. "Then let us watch the movie of her confession." He pressed a button. The screen flickered to life. It was the night vision footage from the storeroom. The image was grainy, but the audio was crystal clear. "Inside that envelope is 500,000 naira. Sign this confession. If you refuse, you go to Kirikiri." The entire room gasped. The maids covered their mouths. The police officers exchanged looks. Then came Mariam's voice, clear and strong. "Keep your money, Ma. I will not lie against myself." Then came the sound of the slap. "Pah! My story, family. Are you screaming? I am screaming. The receipts, the evidence." He caught her in 4K resolution. "Look at Sandra's face. She looks like she swallowed a toad." "Hit the like button if you are happy right now. Justice is sweet." Tell me in the comments, what should Sonny do to Sandra? Arrest her or throw her into the street? Lady Sandra stood frozen, her face drained of color. She looked at the screen, then at Sonny, then at the police. It's a deep fake," Sandra stammered, backing away. "Sonny, it's AI. Someone is trying to frame me." Sonny walked towards her. He didn't shout. He didn't raise his hand. He just looked at her with pure disgust. "Get out," he whispered. "Sonny, please, get out," Sonny roared, the sound shaking the glass windows. "Leave my house before I forget that I am a gentleman and throw you out myself. And if I ever see you near me or my staff again, I will bury you with lawsuits until you cannot afford pure water." Sandra burst into tears, real, ugly tears of shame. She grabbed her bag and ran towards the door, her heels clicking frantically on the marble. The police officers stepped aside to let her pass, then awkwardly tipped their caps to Sonny and retreated. The room fell silent. Sonny turned to Mariam. She was standing there, stunned, trembling. He walked up to her. He reached out and gently brushed a stray hair from her face. "I told you," Sonny whispered, his voice soft again, the voice of Sunday. "The innocent will be lifted up." Mariam's eyes widened. She looked at the master. Then she looked at the door where the gateman usually sat. The realization hit her like a thunderbolt. The voice, the words, the kindness. "Sunday?" she whispered, her legs giving way. "It is you? The secret is out. The master and the gateman are one. But Mariam is overwhelmed by the shock. How can she love a man who lied to her?" Mariam's knees hit the floor, but she did not hit the cold marble. Sonny Jacobs caught her. He scooped her up in his arms as if she weighed nothing more than a feather. The staff gasped. A billionaire carrying a maid? It was taboo. It was scandalous. It was perfect. "Call Dr. Banjo," Sonny barked at the head housekeeper. "Tell him to come to the guest suite immediately." He carried her up the winding staircase, ignoring the whispers below. He kicked open the door to the royal guest room, a room reserved for presidents and kings, and laid Mariam gently on the bed. The sheets were made of Egyptian cotton, soft as clouds. When Mariam opened her eyes, the smell of poverty was gone. The air smelled of lavender and money. She blinked, seeing the golden ceiling. "You are awake," a deep voice said. She sat up sharply. Sonny was sitting in a chair beside the bed, watching her. He had removed his jacket and rolled up his sleeves. He looked tired, but his eyes were tender. "Where am I?" Mariam asked, her voice trembling. Then the memory crashed back into her mind. The trial, the tape, the realization. "You," she pointed a shaking finger at him. "You are Sunday. You are the gateman." "I was Sunday," he corrected gently. "But I am Sonny Jacobs." Mariam didn't smile. She didn't bow. Instead, a tear rolled down her cheek, not of joy, but of hurt. "Why?" she whispered. "Why did you play with me? Was it a game? Did you want to see how the poor people suffer for your entertainment?" Sonny looked pained. He stood up and walked to the window. "It was not a game, Mariam. It was a search." He turned back to her. "Everyone sees the money, the cars, the mansion. They don't see me. Sandra, she only loved the checkbook. I needed to know if there was anyone left in this world who could love a man with nothing. I needed to know if a woman could defend a gateman." He walked closer and knelt by the bed, the billionaire kneeling for the maid. "You shielded me from the blow. You shared your last food with me. You defended my name when I was a nobody to you. Mariam, you didn't just pass the test. You taught me what humanity means. My story, family, this is deep." He lied to find the truth, but imagine how Mariam feels. She thought she had a friend in the struggle, only to find out he was the king all along. She feels foolish. Tell me in the comments, would you be angry that he lied to you, or would you be happy that you are now rich? If you would forgive him immediately, type love. If you would make him beg, type beg. Mariam looked at him. She saw the sincerity in his eyes, but her pride was still bruised. "You have money," she said softly, "but you do not own people. You made me afraid for you. You made me cry for you." "I am sorry," Sonny said, taking her hand. Her rough, calloused hand looked small in his. "I cannot undo the lie, but I can make the truth beautiful. Your mother, I have already sent an ambulance to the slum. She is on her way to the best private hospital in Lagos. She will receive the best care, I promise." Mariam gasped. "My mother? She will live, Mariam. And you will never touch a rag again unless you want to." He reached into his pocket and pulled out something. It wasn't a ring. It was the sachet of pure water she had bought him on the street. He had kept the empty plastic wrapper. "This," Sonny said, holding the plastic like it was a diamond, "was the best meal I ever had, because it was given with love." Mariam looked at the wrapper. Her anger began to melt, replaced by a warmth that spread from her chest to her toes. "So," she whispered, "what happens now? Do I go back to cleaning?" Sonny smiled, and this time, it was the warm, goofy smile of Sunday the gateman. "No, Mariam, you don't clean the house anymore. You are going to rule it, from the mop to the throne. But the world outside does not know yet. The press is waiting, and the Cinderella of Lagos is about to face her biggest crowd yet." 3 days later, the Jacobs mansion was buzzing like a beehive. News had leaked. The blogs were on fire. Billionaire Sonny Jacobs dumps socialite for housemaid. The paparazzi were camped outside the gate like hungry lions, waiting for a glimpse of the Cinderella of Lagos. Inside the master suite, a team of top stylists flown in from Johannesburg and Paris swarmed around Mariam. "Chin up, darling," the makeup artist said, brushing a golden highlighter across Mariam's cheekbones. "You have the face of a queen. We just need to polish the diamond." Mariam stared at herself in the floor-to-ceiling mirror. She barely recognized the woman staring back. Her skin glowed like fresh honey. Her hair, usually hidden under a scarf, was styled in cascading waves that rested on her shoulders. But the dress was the miracle. It was a custom-made gown of shimmering gold lace, hand-beaded with thousands of tiny crystals. It hugged her figure, modest yet majestic. She looked like a statue of a goddess. "I look different," Mariam whispered, touching the cool fabric. "You look like who you were meant to be," a voice said from the doorway. The stylists bowed and quickly stepped aside. Sonny Jacobs walked in. He was dressed in a traditional white agbada, embroidered with gold thread, complete with a matching cap. He looked every inch the African prince. He stopped in his tracks when he saw her. For a man who had seen beauty pageants and runways, he was speechless. He walked over and took her hands. "You are shaking," he noted softly. "I am afraid, Sonny," Mariam confessed, her eyes wide. "Outside that door, the whole world is waiting. They will call me a gold digger. They will say the maid trapped the master. I don't know if I can face them." Sonny squeezed her hands. "Let them talk." People spoke against the rain, but it still watered the earth. "Today, I am not presenting a maid to the world. I am presenting the woman who saved my life. Are you ready to take your throne? My story, family, look at this transformation, from the dust of the village to the gold of the palace. If you are happy for Mariam, drop a emoji in the comments. Let's burn down the comment section with love. But tell me the truth, would you be able to handle the pressure? The whole world watching you, judging you? It is not easy." Mariam took a deep breath. She thought of her mother, now recovering in a VIP ward, eating 3 times a day. She thought of the cold nights sleeping on the floor. She looked at Sonny, the man who had humbled himself to find her. "I am ready," she said, her voice finding its strength. "Good," Sonny smiled, offering his arm. "Because the coronation begins now." They walked out of the room, down the grand staircase, towards the massive double doors of the ballroom. Through the wood, they could hear the roar of the crowd, the press, and the elite society of Lagos who had gathered to see the spectacle. Sonny nodded to the guards. "Open the gates." The heavy doors swung open. The flash of cameras was blinding, like 1,000 lightning storms striking at once. The noise was deafening. Mariam tightened her grip on Sonny's arm. She stepped into the light. "The world is watching. The final judgment is here. Will society accept the maid as their queen, or will the haters try to ruin the big day?" The flashbulbs popped like fireworks, a blinding storm of white light. The ballroom was packed with the who's who of Africa oil sheikhs, ministers, Nollywood stars, and the hungriest journalists in the country. When Sonny and Mariam stepped onto the raised platform, a hush fell over the room. It was heavy, curious, and judgmental. A bold reporter from a gossip blog pushed to the front. "Mr. Jacobs, is it true? The blogs say this woman was scrubbing your floors 3 days ago. Is the great Sonny Jacobs marrying a common maid?" Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some laughed, some sneered. Mariam felt her heart hammer against her ribs. The shame tried to rise up, but then she felt Sonny's hand tighten around hers. Sonny stepped up to the microphone. The speakers screeched slightly, then went silent. He looked at the reporter, then at the crowd. "You ask if she is a maid," Sonny's voice boomed, echoing off the high ceiling. "Yes. She cleaned my floors. She washed my windows." The crowd gasped. The confirmation was shocking. "But," Sonny continued, his voice softening as he turned to look at Mariam, "while she was cleaning my house, she did something none of you could do. She cleaned my eyes. She cleared the dust so I could see what is real." He reached into his pocket and pulled out the small, crumpled plastic wrapper of the pure water sachet. He held it up for the cameras. "I have dined with kings. I have eaten caviar in Paris. But this water given to a beggar by a woman who had nothing. This is the most expensive thing I own, because it was bought with the currency of a pure heart." Tears welled up in Mariam's eyes. The cameras zoomed in on the plastic wrapper, then on her face. Sonny dropped the wrapper and pulled out a small black velvet box. The crowd went dead silent. "They say gold is found in the dirt," Sonny said, dropping to one knee in front of the world. "Mariam Issa, you found me in the mud. You defended me when I was nobody. Now let me make you somebody. Will you marry me?" He opened the box. A yellow diamond, rare and massive, sparkled under the lights. Mariam covered her mouth. The slum, the hunger, the wicked landlord, the cruelty of Lady Sandra, it all faded away. "Yes," she whispered, her voice choking with emotion. "Yes, Sonny, I will." He slipped the ring on her finger. It fit perfectly. As he stood and kissed her, the room exploded. The applause was thunderous. Even the snobs were cheering. The story was too powerful to hate. 6 months later, the wedding was not just an event, it was a national holiday. Mariam's mother, healthy and glowing in expensive lace, sat in the front row, weeping tears of joy. The wicked landlord Pa Jeed watched on a small TV in a local bar, regretting the day he insulted the billionaire's wife. And Lady Sandra? Rumor has it she moved to a small village to hide her face from the shame. As Mariam danced with her husband, the dust of the past was gone. She was no longer the girl with the tray on her head. She was the jewel of the Jacobs empire. And that, my family, is how the stone rejected by the builders became the cornerstone. Thank you for journeying with me. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe and turn on notifications. I have a new story tomorrow just as interesting as this. Stay blessed.